validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Hey, I had to take like an extra 10 minutes before I got this thing rolling today because I had to stop and take a look at some stuff because they got somebody right now that's going live, and it ain't important for you to go over there because I went over there and it's a waste of time. According to the thumbnail they put on the shit, Elon Musk had found like $4.7 trillion worth of money, and there's like this Doge scandal and all this other stuff, and it ain't the thumbnail doesn't ratify the true, like, they're talking about the budget and all this other shit, but they ain't fined $4.7 trillion. But it definitely is an eye catcher, that title with the thumbnail that they put up there. It's definitely an eye catcher to bring people to the presidential discussions. And they got a few people in the comment section over there. But I had to go and do my research on that real fast and be like, did they really just fine $4 trillion? And you know why you have to go and find that out is because if Elon Musk made the recommendation earlier this past week. Make sure you guys like and subscribe as you pop in. Elon Musk made that recommendation over Twitter X, where they were talking about potentially giving a stimulus to the American citizens for the 20% of the $2 trillion that would be recovered from the efficiency of the budget. And if that were to come to fruition, it would only come to fruition if they at least recovered $1 trillion, where they are currently, when I last looked at it, at about $57 billion. So they have a long way to go of savings. And if they had acquired $4.7 trillion, assuming that 20% of the recovered money would be distributed to the population, you would expect people to assume that more than 4 times the original projected amount of $5,000 to $8,000 would be dispersed to the American people. And if he would have honestly found that money this week, it would likely be dispersed this tax season, at least for those individuals that file taxes. So the fact is that I had to go double check that. And nah, it has not. They have not found $4.7 trillion. Now, I do know that Donald Trump was talking about going to Fort Knox and going to see if, in fact, they had gold in Fort Knox, because they were supposed to have like 2,500 tons or something like that, even though they just moved for 4,800 tons or 4,400 tons over to New York just recently. They were expecting to see 2,400 tons in Fort Knox. Now, I don't know when this was supposed to happen, but Donald Trump was talking about it earlier this week, late last week, something to that effect. And I wanted to see when are they going, and if they go, when they go, what is in that room. I'm expecting it to be the cleanest fucking room in the world, where the doors ain't been open since like 1942 and ain't shit in there. That's my expectation. But you never know. You could open the doors and be a shit ton of gold in that. It'd be like the Treasure of Azkaban or something like that. Alibaba's 40 Thieves or something like that. But that's not what today's show is about. I had to hit you guys with a right now in the moment kind of scenario. If you guys are following the show, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. But also, if you want to come in and throw your comments in, you can click that link in the comment section, approve the mic, approve the camera. It'll bring you in real time where we can split screen and start talking about this stuff. Otherwise, because we expect people to be over the age of 18 to jump into the comment section. Otherwise, you can leave your comments in the comments down below, and anybody who's anybody, we can have an open-minded, open forum discussion about everything that's going on, because today we were supposed to be talking about money, teaching you dating secrets. Now, I know Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday we talk about money. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday we talk about personal improvement, social interactions, and other such. Ladies, y'all might get pissed off today. I don't mind. But for those of you, especially y'all alpha boss ladies, y'all might agree. And anybody who's anybody that goes off of logic and reason, you might actually be able to utilize this. So keep on keeping on with me, because I'm about to put this conversation to the test, where we're going to see if we can really learn something about dating utilizing capital gains. Now, when we think about dating and relationships, we often separate them from financial lives. So our livelihood and dating is not always combined with one another. But the truth is, financial stability can have a profound impact on our romantic relationships. So in fact, money can teach us some surprising secrets about ourselves and our partners that can make all the difference in finding love and building strong, healthy relationships. Now, the phrase money talks often refers to the influence and power that financial resources can exert in various aspects of life, including relationships. And when we consider dating, this would entail how we can teach each other the concept of several different insights that emerge from the concept of money talks. Now, we've all heard it before that love and money don't mix. They also say don't loan money to your friends and family. Don't do business with your friends and family. I can agree with that. And partly because the way that you treat friends and family is not the way that you treat your business partners. There is no same concept. Now, you can analyze from taking my methods and you can uniformly treat friends and family as business colleagues to the cutthroat expectation that I will only compensate you if I profit. But the loyalty and honor that comes behind, or self-perceived honor that comes behind falling on the metaphorical sword for the sake of a family member, you could allow a family member to steal from you, lie to you, cheat you out of your money, and we're still family. It's all cool, because allegedly blood is thicker than water, when the true full phrase is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which also means that the people that you make your family is probably stronger bonds than the people who created you. So the concept doesn't go the way people utilize it. Either way, the fact is that in business, you don't allow yourself to be mistreated, cheated, or betrayed by the people that you do business with. Before you see a deal going south, you pull out and do collateral damage, and you cut ties with those bad business deals and never involve yourself with those individuals in a business interaction again. With family, they could tank your business and we're still family. We're still cool. We're still hanging out in family reunions. We're still hanging out in family functions. We still communicate with one another after the fact. And that's not good, which is why love and money doesn't mix. Because if you are dating somebody and they have a bad habit like gambling, in order for you to protect the family, you have to part ways with that person, because you can't allow that person to take all the money out of the household where you and your family members, kids, elderly people, stuff like that, are suffering because the person with the bad gambling habit is spending up all the money. Same thing with a drug addiction. You cannot allow the person to take everything out of the house because they can't control their habit. So that means that out of the sake of, they say, tough love, you have to push away the vice of the family in order to, so sacrificing the few for the many. In business, you're just weighing the risk versus the reward. You're looking at your ROI. You're looking at logic and reason. You're not looking at emotional investment. You're not looking at loyalty. You're not looking at dedication. You're not looking at duty based on a linear bloodline. You're looking at the fact that does it make sense for me to do this? Will taking a loss in this scenario profit me in the long run? Ultimately is the fundamental concept behind using debt for profit. Is, should I, if I take a loss now, will I profit from it later? If I look out for you today, can I benefit from you later? And if the answer to that question is no, then I'm not doing shit. I don't care if this is your last breath. If I could save money by pulling the plug on your life support, look, don't put me in charge of that plug. If there was a large investment behind how quickly I could snatch that plug out the wall, I'm telling you, 2 steps into the room, I'm going to grab the plug from across the room and I'm going to snatch it out of the wall the way Stephen Curry be sinking them balls from 3/4 court line. You're going to be like, dang, heartless. It's just business. It's nothing personal. So it's the concept is true that love and money does not mix. And while people think that the concepts that I'm coming up with make absolutely no sense, you have to understand that it really does make sense. Because while a lot of people have ethics and morals, everybody's moral and ethical level is different. And because everybody's ethical and moral level is different, everyone has a price. It's just that some people's price is higher than others. And your price varies based on your standard of living, based on the emergency basis of the situation that you're in, based on short-term catastrophic situations. So while you may have normally not behaved in this fashion under regular circumstances, because you might be in a life-threatening situation where a family friend or a loved one or somebody like that might be in need of a few $100,000, you will compromise all of your morals and ethics for the sake of loyalty to somebody else. Likewise, you might sacrifice yourself for the sake of loyalty to your kids. You might sacrifice yourself for the sake of loyalty to your parents. You might do demoralizing things for the sake of fast cash, because a situation you're in, you cannot find another way. You might find yourself accepting illegal transactions because you cannot find another way in the moment. Now, looking back on it, you'd be like, damn, I could have done X, Y, and Z. But in the moment, you can be compromised. It just really depends on what matters to you most. And when it becomes jeopardized, how much are you willing to pay to keep it from being jeopardized? And that's when the proverbial robbing Peter to pay Paul comes in, because to prevent what matters to you most from being jeopardized, you'll offer whatever it takes to satisfy the scenario, even if you don't have it. And then when the offer is on the table, now you have to meet the offer, which means now you have to lower yourself to meet the demands of that offer, which means now you're accepting anything from anyone in order to meet the demands of the offer, in order to save whatever you value the most. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's stuff, sometimes it's pets. Doesn't matter. Everybody's got a price. It just depends how much you got to pay. So think about it. When was the last time you were on a date and didn't think about the cost of the meal or the activity you were doing? Now, I'm going to ask that question to the men, because ladies, think about the last time you were on a date because in Western culture, truth be told, more often than not, the men are required to pay for the date. So women very rarely care about the cost of the date. The women that are conscious about the cost of a date more often than not try to be as cheap as possible on the date, because they don't want to overburden the person on the first date. There are some people that are gluttons, and because they don't have to pay, they will charge it to the underhills, where they're ordering everything on the left side of the menu because they want to be impressed by your spending power, which again, this is how finances can teach you about dating. But when did you last have a conversation with your partner about your financial goals and expectations? So for those of you that are still in committed relationships, and times are changing, economic situations are improving. Me and Usman was here yesterday talking about how you could make $1 million in 47 years just by saving $100 a month. And I was like, well, if you maximize that by $500 a month, you could potentially put yourself closer to 10 years making $1 million. If you maximize that to $1,000 a month, where you're saving $12,000 a year or more, you could probably speed that up to about 5 years, where the average relationship lasts less than 1.5 years, 1 year, 5 months, 6 days. But we have the social atmosphere where the man is usually the one that pays for 75 to 90% of the standard of living, which is fine. Ladies, that's fine. That is not the problem. The problem is that if you are dating a man that makes the same amount of money or more than you do, and he's paying for 90% of the bills, you're not investing the money that you don't pay on the bills into anything. It doesn't matter if you got it in a savings account, because it's not gaining interest at 0.64% interest. 0.64%. That's less than half a cent. That's like, for $2, you get like $1, you get 1.2 pennies for $2. For $100, for $200, you'd get $1.20. That's how little the interest is. And that's an annual percentage rate. So for $1,000 that you got sitting in a bank account for a year, you might get $12 back. It's not a lot of money. When I just made $100 off of the past 5 days, when I put the money into the stock, I put the money in the stock on Monday, and it flipped quickly within the last 5 days. I just put it up there and just let it sit. Okay. Now, the problem is that not that he's paying for everything. The problem is that since you have less to pay for, your mindset is not, let me take this other 20, 30, 40,000 a year that I don't have to pay for bills. Keep like 5,000 a year for myself for personal spending, but take the other 20, 25,000 a year and put it into stocks and bonds and other, because just 25 grand alone that you put away for 4 years is 100 grand. And 15% interest is $15,000 coming back to you on a regular basis. Once you successfully put that $100,000 up there, where that is the interest being paid to you, not the total amount of money you have accessible. So the 100,000 is always going to be there, but now you're getting back 15 grand off that 100,000 inside of 4 years. It makes it more reasonable for you to stay in this relationship because one, if you do that for 10 years, neither one of y'all got to work. Two, if your income and his income is now subsidized by a third income, now y'all got less bills that y'all have to pay, because if his money is paying for 80 or 90% of the stuff and you're getting back an extra 15 grand off the money that you invested, not only do you have more spending money for yourself, you also can relieve some of his financial responsibility so he could take more days off to spend more time with you so that y'all can spend more life together because he doesn't have to work so hard. And then the standard of living improves, the quality of your relationship improves, and the longevity of your relationship improves because you invested your money instead of spending it on entertainment or whatever it is that you spend your money on to make 40, 50, 70,000 a year, demanding a man that makes the same amount of money as you or more to pay for 80% or more of the standard of living. That means that you're 30, 40, 50,000 a year of your money is not going to the house and you're not investing it. That's why we stay broke. Look, I ain't taking shots at none of y'all ladies. I'm just saying, think about it. Think about the last time you was in a relationship where you didn't have to pay for everything. What did you do with your money? When he started offering to cover your financial expenses, what did you do with the money that you no longer had to pay bills with? You didn't invest it. You didn't put it nowhere. And you don't have it anymore, do you? Just think about that. I know I was one of the ones that back in the day that before I got this knowledge, I would have done the exact same thing. So don't think that I'm better than you because I made a decision today that I did not make 20 years ago. It took me the last 20 years of trial and error to learn the stuff that I'm telling you today. So it took the mentorship mentality that I have to tell you today. Think about this right now. Over the past 5 years, when you were in situations where you had more money than you needed, where you did not have anything else to pay for, what did you do with the extra money? And if you can think about whatever stupid thing you spent that money on, because that's really what it turns out to be. It was a bad financial decision because the money is gone and whatever you paid for with that money is no longer of value to you today. Plain and simple. Because if you put it towards transportation, you still got the transportation, but the car probably need to be fixed now. Especially if it hasn't been crashed. It's got 5 years. Some bitch put some miles on it. If you put it into a house, the house still needs to be fixed. Yeah, you got a place to live, but you got to repair it some bitch. You got to change the roof out every 10 to 15 years. So what did you put the money on? Most of us would have bought unnecessary stuff, upgraded the visual appeal of the vehicle, bought a massive entertainment system, bought a bunch of subscriptions, upgraded the cable plan, bought new clothes, shoes, toys, gifts for friends and family, showing off for the people that we value, not the people that value us, the people that we value, showing off for them to seek praise from them because we're spending our money on them. So we are impressing them with our wealth, which is what we're going to be talking about today, that we should not do. And then we're back broke again. So for many of us, the answer is probably we've never or rarely paid attention to any of this. And yet financial issues are one of the top reasons why relationships fail. More than 59% from the statistics that I looked at before. But why do we separate love and money in our minds? Is it because we think that love should be pure and uncomplicated, untainted by the stresses of everyday life? Or is it because we're not comfortable with talking about our financial situations? Whatever the reason, ignoring the role of many of money in our relationships can lead to some serious consequences, from resentment to mistrust to full-blown arguments and breakups. I know a lot of us remember back in the days, those of us that are 80s babies, 70s babies, 60s babies, we remember our parents in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s when they would be arguing with one another over the bills. They'd be arguing with one another over money because the money came in, but not everything got paid for. Where'd the money go? Which one of them took it? Who spent what on what? Who bought what with what? What didn't get got? What was supposed to be gotten with? Y'all remember, we used to be sitting in the room playing video games, playing card games, playing Pong, playing jacks, sitting there like staring at our siblings and pretending like we didn't hear that. Some of us would go outside and play with our friends, and we would hear the arguing in the house, and we would take our sweet time getting back home because they pissed off right now. And a lot of those marriages ended in divorce because if the couple could not agree on the status of the household. And the reality is that financial stress can seep into every aspect of our relationship, from the way we communicate to the way we make decisions together. And when we're not on the same page financially, it can be incredibly challenging to navigate the ups and downs of dating and relationships. Money can actually affect the way we're attracted to people. Take the way women are looking for the $100,000 and $150,000 man. The fact is, yes, you want financial security. Yes, I've done the math, and statistically speaking, since poverty is between 70 and 79,000 a year based on inflation, you do want $100,000 a year family income so that you can live a lower middle class standard of living. But it's a household income based on the total number of bodies in the house that got jobs, that you guys are making $100,000. So if there's 4 of y'all living in the house, everybody's got to make at least 25 or 30. If there's 2 of y'all in the house, everybody in the house got to make at least 50 to 55. If it's just you by yourself, you might want to make 105 by yourself. But the one thing that I said was unrealistic was specifically because the women wanted the men by themselves to make the 100,000 a year so that the man could be valuable to the woman. But she's not required to make 100,000 a year to match that. And that's the part that made no sense to me. Not because a man is going to expect a woman to contribute, even in the egalitarian society where the 50-50 thing that is enforced by the feminist mindset is present. The thing is, the concern that we have is that if he's making 100,000, and let's say y'all are living a $75,000 lifestyle where the comfortable standard of living is like $69,000, $70,000 a year. So you might be like an upper middle class or lower, well, probably upper lower class or lower middle class. So you might be in the suburbs, but it's like the cheap area. You know, you might find yourself almost making it to the rural areas, because the rural areas are starting to become more expensive these days. And the thing is that if he's putting, again, 70 or 80% of his income, if not more, into 100% of the standard of living, even if you did make 100,000 a year, what are you doing with your half? Because y'all still broke. He's still working paycheck to paycheck besides all of the stuff that he buys for you, and you keep your whole paycheck. You know what a lot of women are doing? And I'm going to be real with you. This is like the alpha boss ladies. She's got a good man that's taking good care of her, and she's taking good care of her family. She's got mothers, aunts, uncles, fathers, sick sister, sick nephew, you know, a cousin that's in and out of jail. That's where the money's going more often than not. When they're not being irresponsible and clubbing and tricking and traveling around the world irresponsibly, they really spending every fucking extra dollar that they got taking care of somebody else's problems instead of focusing on the household. Where, truth be told, like I said before, if you wasn't so self-sacrificing, you would find the capabilities to put your financial foot down and say, look, if I'm not profiting off of this, I can't invest in you, because if I put money into you, you can't get the money back to me. I have to get effort out of you in return. That is almost the law of alchemy. I got to put something into this and I've got to get something out of it. Otherwise, I am expelling resources for absolutely no reason. A symbiotic relationship between friends, family members, loved ones, business is symbiotic relationship. is that you get what you need out of me, and I get what I need out of you. You might need money. I might need effort. You might need stuff that needs to be paid for. I might have a bunch of tasks that need to be completed that I don't have the time, energy, or mindset to complete. If I benefit you, you must benefit me. Otherwise, that makes the person, if it's a singular scenario where only one person is benefiting, that person is the parasite. That's the truth. If you are not capable of reciprocating, you are leeching off of the resources of the person that is benefiting your standard. And this is why a lot of the men have been saying in the past 2 years, asking the ladies, what are y'all bringing to the table besides sex, your choice of career, and your education status? Because your choice of career and your education status does not benefit his decision-making skills. And sex is recreational instead of reproductive. So once you take entertainment out of the scenario, what contributions do you make? It's a challenge that women have to think of philosophically, ethically, morally. Ladies, what do you really do, since we have the masculine mindset in women to become what they look for in men, and then say that they are highly valuable because they check off all the boxes that they would have for a man, which now means that their standard is that the man has to be a better man than the woman is being, to say that he's valuable to her. But see, on both sides of the fence, a man has to do what it takes to be valuable to the woman. And usually what women need is financial stability, financial security, physical security. Men need a partner that's going to aid him in getting shit done, the mediocre tasks. So what men value is not how much money a woman has. It's not how smart she is, because you could be dumb as a box of rocks, but if you can follow some instructions, you can get a lot of shit done while I'm not here. And when I say while I'm not here, it's not while I'm not here at the house. It's while I'm not here in the activity that you're performing, because you could be making a big money move for the business, for the family business. And you could be doing that in Tibet while I am in Sri Lanka doing the same big money move. If you can follow instructions, we can meet in the middle. And now we're living a life of luxury. If you're a partner, if you don't know how to do this, I know how to do this. And I need somebody to help me do it so that we can get more results in the same period of time. I have to tell you what to do, and you have to follow the instructions so that we can both do it the way I do it, so that we can both be as successful as I am by myself. Now, ladies, we flip the script. If you've got it under control, you know how to run the operation, and you get a man that doesn't know how to run the operation, guess what? The exact same situation applies. If you're going to get one that doesn't know what's going on, but you know what's going on, you're supposed to be able to tell him what needs to get done so that he can follow your lead, so that he can maximize his efforts in being as successful as you are. But y'all are still working together in either scenario. When the dependent is working with the provider, the group, the team, the family is more successful. Oh, it doesn't matter if the man is the dependent or if the woman is the dependent. What matters is that whoever is leading this has to have a follower. Whoever's expected to lead has to have a follower. And if they don't, you're going to have clashes of authority. It's going to be like Vince McMahon and Triple H every day of the week. You're going to be clashing. It's like Stone Cold Steve Austin in the mix. You're going to be clashing heads all the time, which will lead to, I'm going to do whatever I want, and you're going to go off to the left, and somebody's going to go off to the right, and you're both making decisions with the same capital that's in the account. Whoever spends it first accomplishes a goal, and whoever spends it second overdrafts the account. Now you're arguing about money. So the dynamics of the relationships and even our expectations of our partners play a huge role in this situation. For example, research has shown that people are more likely to be attracted to someone who is financially stable, as it's often seen as a sign of responsibility and maturity. Now, the irony of that is that these same people also find it attractive for those people to have the capabilities to spend a lot of money, which I find asinine, because if you're spending a lot of money in an insignificant fashion, then you're wasteful. And if you're wasteful, it doesn't matter how much money you have access to. You can become MC Hammer broke just like that. So it makes no sense that you're going to be financially wasteful and then be considered fiscally responsible. If you can drop $10,000 in 24 hours on nothing of value, that is stupidity. And when we're in relationships, our financial situations can influence the way we make decisions together, from what we do on the weekends to how we plan the future. And it's crazy. It's crazy that oh my God. It's crazy how we put this into the wrong context a lot of the times, because we're not actually paying attention to why our partner can't get us that special event, or why our partner doesn't want to buy those backseat passes, or why our partner doesn't want to buy the S-Class limited edition, black edition, why they didn't get us what we wanted versus getting us anything, something to get us by, because the decision-making process was, fuck, we can't afford that. As much as you want it, as much as I may have even promised it to you, we can't afford that. Now, weird thing is, Mr. Satellite is in the house. Back again for the fourth time. Duolingo is alive. I'm not doing a 360 for you. Oh, make sure that you guys like and subscribe as you pop in here. How things been going with you, Mr. Satellite? I know, shoot, I was wondering where what's his name was supposed to be coming back to talk about how garbage LeBron James was, but he didn't come back. We did a whole show. We talked about all the stats and stuff, but it's okay. We're going to talk about business and finance and relationships today, and we're going to kind of make it make sense today. So by all means, hang out, twerk out. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get to the bottom of some of it, because we're about to touch on a philosophical concept on this. And I mean, sometimes I get some insight from the ladies, but a lot of times when I start talking about things where they got to start doing some self-reflection, there's some situations where they don't want to they don't want to put their 2 cents in, because I mean, outside of telling me that I'm an incel because I said it, they really can't refute what I said. They can't prove me wrong. But it is, for all intents and purposes, it's the tough call that we have to look at. We are about to talk about the value and worth, because dating can teach you that people often place value on different things, and money can be a significant factor in how individuals perceive worth. Some prioritize financial stability as a sign of responsibility and security, while others may focus on emotional support or shared values. You've got people who are used to being broke, and they're only going to value you for what you do. And you've got people who are used to having money spent on them, that's only going to value what you can afford to do. It's a big difference. So ladies, a man is not going to be sitting there looking at your ability to buy them a gift and say, oh, you didn't get me the GTA 6 on pre-order. Nah, they're going to be glad that you got them a PlayStation controller. They don't give a damn if it's used from what is it, GameStop. They don't care. It's like, oh snap, you went and got me an extra controller. Shoot, let's play the game together. But sometimes, ladies, y'all got to understand that just because he didn't get you exactly what you was looking for doesn't mean he wasn't trying. Now, financial compatibility. Now, financial compatibility is crucial in any relationship. Dating can show you how important it is to align with someone who shares similar financial values and goals. Differences in spending habits or financial priorities can lead to conflicts if not addressed. So we have to understand that while I'm telling you guys that if y'all had that, if everybody that's in the same relationship had the same dating mindset, y'all would be able to build up capital and then start spending on the back end. I'm not saying don't live the life. I'm saying don't live the life with the principal that you earned from your day-to-day job. I'm saying live that life off the interest paid to you off of your investments. So the smart way to do it, to go from being broke to not broke, is to take all the, because I told you this before. Rich people take 100% of their money, put it into the stocks and bonds and investments, borrow against the stocks and bonds and investments, use the cash to pay off everything that they need, and then take the interest off of the money that they invested in and pay the loan off. So their principal went into their stocks. The interest is paying off the loan. The loan paid off the debt. What are they doing with their money? Absolutely nothing. The principal is still there. We, as broke folks, pay our bills first so that we don't have bills for the month. Some of us might pay 2 or 3 months in advance. I told you guys I would have 6 months of bill pay in advance so that I wouldn't have to worry about my bills, especially if I ain't planning on moving over the next 6 months. Then you take what's left over and you invest that. It's way less. It's usually like 10% or less, 20% if you're doing good with 80% of your income. Some of you that have 43 or 55% of your income going towards bills, you might take 20% of what you're not spending on bills and put it up until an emergency happens, and then you fall by putting your money back on bills. But the thing is that we invest what's left over. The rich invest what they have and then pay bills with whatever's left over, which is a big difference, which ultimately means that once they pay those bills, they still have 100% of what they started with. Once we finish paying bills, we ain't got shit, which means it takes longer for us to get to where we're trying to go. So I'm just trying to tell you guys, if you change your mindset where you start putting more money away first and then be irresponsible with the dividends that you receive, you'd have a lot more fun and be able to do the exact same stuff next month, because since you're only using the dividends dispersed, the principal is still there. So next month or next quarter's installment gives you the ability to have a second go at the same level of activity. Now you want to be able to increase your value, your financial wealth, to a magnitude where whatever desired standard of living that you have is far exceeded by the dividend distribution that you get. So like Brett Owens and Tom had gave me the book about living off of 8%. I just found some real estate investment trusts where I've got 15 to 18%. I'm averaging between the 18.6% and the 14.1% stock. I'm averaging about 15%. And while averaging about 15 to 17%, the more money I put up, the more money I get back. So essentially, reading that book, which costs $9, reading that book gave me knowledge and insight and information that I can utilize to continue to put money into that type of dynamic where I ultimately end up with plenty of money coming back to me. Because it's not how much the stock is valued, it's how much the dividends distribution is. Because a stock could be $1,000 a share, but it only matters to the broke folks if that $1,000 a share is paying back 20%. Because then I'm getting $200 a share. So I got 10 shares, I'm getting $2,000. If that's a monthly distribution, I'm making bank, right? for the bottom 99%. Now, for millionaires, they're like, no, that ain't nothing. I done made $80 million in one day. But for those of you that are still making $2,000 a month, if you got your money put into a place where you're getting $4,000 a month as dividend distribution, that's a pretty good haul. So we have to understand the difference between independence and interdependence. Now, dating experiences can highlight the balance between independence and interdependence. Financial independence can be attractive, but so is the ability to work together financially, ladies. So when I told you guys before, we're not looking for independent women. We're looking for self-sufficient women. We're looking for interdependent women, because while you can do it by yourself, you're choosing not to. That's why you're getting into a relationship, which means you're choosing to be a team player. You're choosing to be drafted for this army. You're choosing to sign up for this team. You are choosing to work with me. When you chose me, you're choosing to work with me, not dominate me. So if you have that mentality of, well, you know, I'm looking for a man, I'm looking for a boyfriend, a husband, or whatever, you are choosing to become a cooperating partner. Once that mentality is instilled in you, that is when you're able to make different decisions that changes you from being independent to interdependent. It changes you from being a lone wolf to self-sufficient and a pack mentality, where your decision is for the best interest of you and your husband, you and your boyfriend, not just you and the kids, you and him, the him that is catering to your every whim. Because the more you can do for him, the more he can do for you, because he has a break. So understand how money affects your sense of independence and interdependence in a relationship, because this is very vital. Now, I've talked to you guys plenty of times before about how communication and trust is a very, very keen factor in relationships, business, finance, because money can be a very sensitive topic. And dating teaches you the importance of open communication about financial matters. Now, the problem with having too much open communication too soon in the relationship is that you can get with individuals that were not there for honest means. Those individuals that did not come with good faith intentions, and they can take advantage of the financial information that they get from you. So you have to start your financial matters conversations with the amount of money you're willing to invest in whatever it is that you guys got going on right now. You may not be able to start off talking about how much money you have versus how much money you make. You may be able to start off with how much money you're willing to spend. You could even come from a perspective of how much money you're able to spend, where you might be willing to spend more, but you're not able to do that without sacrificing your position. And then the more trust that you guys build, the more you can bring that person into how much money you have to spend. I had a conversation with family earlier today, and I thought it was wild, because when we were both sitting over here discussing who was a power of attorney of what, and I was sitting over there like, nah, it ain't going to work out like that, because I had an older sibling telling me that they had power of attorney over stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, because I've been signing all the power of attorney documents for the past 12 months. I don't know what you're talking about. And then when they started telling me about it, they're like, oh, they got the power of attorney over the medical stuff and everything. Oh, I said, oh, hold on, wait. So you are going to be responsible for life and death. I have power of attorney over the finances. I said, you know what? You can have that, because you have to deal with the funeral arrangements. I am dealing with the estate. I don't care about we can share these responsibilities, because you got the hardest part. I got to make the money make money for us. You've got to dig a hole in the ground. I just got to throw the casket into the ground. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? So, but the fact is that when we had that, I see you, Strayer. And I said, look, hold on. You know, you're trying to come back to back and think that, you know, because you might be the older generation of sibling that you might have more control. You only have access to whatever I allow you to have access to, because everything that I put into the trust before his last breath is not his. It belongs to the trust. So whatever is in the trust when he takes his last breath is not yours to control. And whoever controls the trust controls the estate. I put everything that he has into the estate. So when there's a dispute between the siblings, there isn't a dispute between the siblings, because everything that is in probate gets divided equally. Everything that's in the trust belongs to the trustee and provided to the beneficiary. So if they're not added on as beneficiaries, it is what it is. Now, Strider says, hey, yo, another question for you. Would you prefer a lawnmower or a 6x6 Lego brick for cleaning out the microwave? Shit, a 6x6 Lego brick would fuck that microwave up. A lawnmower, first of all, a lawnmower is not going to fix or clean a microwave. But if you were asking me, would I use the lawnmower to fix or would I use a 6x6 Lego brick to clean a lawnmower, or would I use a 6x6 Lego brick to clean a microwave? I'm going to be honest with you. I'd probably use that microwave before I use that lawnmower, because, I would actually invest money to pay somebody else to use the lawnmower so I don't have to. Because my time is valuable. And instead of me walking around the yard with a lawnmower, I could be sitting here on a computer making money while somebody else is walking around the yard with a lawnmower. And when it comes to that microwave, I'd probably get like a Mexican or a Filipino or a Thailand or a Vietnamese and have her deal with the microwave so that I don't have to deal with the microwave, so that I can sit here and make money for the both of us. Hopefully that answers your question. I know some women are like, oh, he's sexist. No, because if, ladies, y'all were the kind of people that would take care of your man, and you told him, okay, I'm going to pay for everything, but you got to go and do X, Y, Z. I'm going to tell you right now, if I had an alpha boss lady that was making 200, 300, 500,000 a year, 100,000 a year, $75,000 a year, 55,000 a year, and willing to pay for everything, child, I would be here with just an apron on, cooking, cleaning, head, whatever she needed, sponge bath, whatever she needed, foot rub. Because if you're going to take the masculine position, I have no problem with taking the non-masculine position, because you're going to be responsible for everything. And I can tell you that it is not easy. You think that managing your stuff is easy and that you can manage the whole household? No, it is not true. Your priorities and somebody else's priorities, and the more people that you have on your plate, priorities combined together, times, dates, deadlines, expenses, you're going to have a lot to deal with. And to keep you mentally capable of putting up with that, I will make you as comfortable as possible while you're here. Star says, so another great question, kind of on the same topic. Given a choice between these two words, which one would you choose to yell as loud as you can? The X word, hard F, or the N word, soft A? I don't think that I would strongly recommend that everybody break the habit of using the N word with any hard or soft A with the ER or whatever. I mean, unless the word is no or not again. Yeah, we shouldn't be using the N word with the soft A. I'm not familiar with the X word with the hard F. I don't know what the X word is. I'll allow you to type the X word out with the F in there because I don't know what the X word is. Don't worry, I'm not gonna hit you. I don't think YouTube would strike either one of us for you typing the X word, because if it's not a profane word, I don't really know what the X word is. Because when I think of X word, I think X-Men, I think SpaceX, I think Twitter X, I think X money, I think Elon Musk is making fun of his ex, but I don't think of anything negative with the X word. If I put X and F together, kind of forgot what the word X is. I was hoping you would know. I don't know, like a xylophone. Like, what X word is there that is derogatory in nature? I know Xander is going to be a dirty word by the time I finish with this podcast, but it doesn't have an F in there. Some ladies are going to be like, that Xander, he be throwing us under the bus. I'm like, nah, ladies, I'm just calling it like it is. Y'all don't got to like what I say. Y'all just got to understand that y'all know somebody that fit the description. It ain't got to be the one listening to what I'm saying. But if you listen to what I'm saying and you think about at least one homegirl that's dropping the ball, and you like, yeah, Keisha gonna have to tighten up. The Xander's talking about it. If Xander's talking about it and she's doing it, man, that's too much, because him and her are not in the same location. Yeah. If I'm calling some plays and your homegirl Bunquisha is doing the exact same thing I'm telling you about, you're gonna have to tighten her up. You're gonna have to let her know that hey, there's a podcast calling out your plays, girl. You're gonna have to tighten it up. Do you know the N-word soft A and hard R versions? But I would never, ever, 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 ever say either version. You know, I find it funny that there are some individuals that still keep those in their vocabulary, both hard and soft. No Diddy. And the fact is that while it was an identifier back when our population was considered tools, it became a derogatory term during segregation. And we are still utilizing it as a derogatory term of self-pride. Very few people recognize that you devalue and degrade yourself just by saying it, before you devalue and degrade somebody else by saying it to them or about them. So both of you fall back 40 years of liberation or more by keeping that vocabulary in your dialogue. So having the ability to remove that out of your dialogue and keep it out of your dialogue, the same way a smoker never picks up a cigarette again, or an alcoholic doesn't drink alcohol again. If you keep it out of your dialogue, you actually grow a little bit. You actually grow a lot of it. But every now and again, it might slip out of your mouth. And when it does, because it very rarely happens, it's probably going to be ignored. But you got to really understand that as soon as you say it, you lost a few points in the crowd that you're in, regardless of what it is. And the higher status the crowd is, the more of a reputation hit that you receive by saying the word. You don't even have to be saying it to somebody. You could just be saying it in a conversation where it is heard by somebody, and automatically you have went from whatever class status that you're in that conversation to low class. It's the same way when females identify themselves as bad bees and everything like that. It does not maintain a level of dignity and respect when you identify yourself as that. A man can identify you at that, but you identify yourself as that, and then you expect a man to respect you. You have to respect yourself and say, well, if he can't call me that, I shouldn't call me that. My homegirl shouldn't call me that in play. You know, the flamboyant dude in the group of females can't call us that because he's trying to flame out in the group. because we are supposed to hold ourselves with a higher level of standards. And since we don't want to be identified that way, we don't want to self-identify that way. That is supposed to be the mentality. Now, you says, does online game chat count if I say one of the versions? Yes. Yes, it does. Because when you are texting to other people, you are having a communication with them. They're going to read out loud more often than not what you said, what you typed. But basically, that's what you said. You just said it with your fingers on a keyboard. No diddy. And they're going to respond to that. Now, also, think about this, Strayer. Text messages or quick emails. That's what they are. Emails are digital letters. That's what they are. And when you write a letter to somebody, the way you meant it is perceived more aggressively, more negatively. No matter what you write, it will always be perceived in the most negative light. So when you say it, even with the ha-ha on it, it is going to be perceived in the most negative light. So the other person will be offended by it, even if they take a few minutes to respond because they deleted all the negative things they were going to say in return, and then they just hit you with the LOL or the haha. But they're looking at the comments like, this mother didn't say it, but they can't really do nothing to you. He says, well, what if I have a impasse with 3 uses left, but I say the N-word R version 4 times fast? There is no pass with self-respect. There is no pass with mutual respect. They got these folks that have been doing this Twitter trend or this TikTok trend where they're asking their partners who is the relationship pass where, you know, if you could cheat on your partner with somebody, who would be the person that you would get the pass for? There is no pass. If we are going to hold ourselves to a higher standard of existence, there is no pass. So there should never be a thing where she can pick any number of men or women that she would have an affair with as a pass, the same way I should not pick any number of men or women that I can have an affair with as a pass, the same way you should never use the N-word in a conversation or text or email or DM or meme or emoji, because there is no pass. Now, I don't care if you do it. I don't know you. You're just somebody in my comment section. But it devalues you by saying it. It devalues you more when you're saying it to somebody else. And while you're devaluing the other person who is allowing themselves to be devalued by that statement, the both of you lose a few status symbols by entertaining that type of conversation, entertaining that type of dialogue. That's one of the issues that we have with that. So, I mean, your First Amendment right to say whatever you want to say, you can say whatever you want to say as long as you're not direct hate speech, because direct hate speech is going to get caught by YouTube's public guidelines. And before my channel is flagged for your comment, you'll be flagged on my channel for your comment. But as long as you're not hate speech, I don't care what you're saying, how you say it. It is an adult platform, so they're supposed to be 18 or older. There is a little bit of profanity in the dialogue. There is a little bit of profanity in the comment section. I allow it. I don't block people for using profane language as long as you're not utilizing hate speech. You know, you can curse in my direction. I don't really care about it, as long as you're not utilizing hate speech. Your right to say what you want to say is your right to say what you want to say. Just note that your comments are streaming live. Your comments will be replayed in real time on the replay of this live. So the moment it popped up on the show live will be the moment it pops up on the show when the show replays itself. because I ain't got no mercy for y'all. I'm not going to sit over here and edit out the negative stuff that y'all put up here. Nah. If YouTube come after y'all like Anthony Tate, they come after y'all like Anthony Tate. I ain't going to protect you. I am not going to protect you. I find out that you're banned, you ain't coming on my show. You're not going to add me to the FBI watch list. That's not going down. But you guys got to remember, though, trust is built when both partners are transparent about their financial situations and their financial goals. So when you have priorities and goals, you have to understand that through dating, you're going to learn to identify your priorities and long-term goals. And you're going to include financial goals as well. Aligning these with your partner can strengthen your relationship and help you build a future together. Now, you have to understand that there are going to be some red flags and some deal breakers. The dating can also reveal red flags related to money, such as the irresponsible spending I've been telling you guys about all day, or dishonesty about financial situations where people misrepresent their scenario. Women are used to seeing this when men misrepresent the fact that they can afford to pay for the stuff that they're paying for, and it come to find out that they can't. Men get used to experiencing this in a fashion where women make it seem like they don't have enough money to buy and spend on the things that they claim that they want or need, and come to find out they had more than enough, or in certain situations, it didn't cost as much as they said. We have seen a trend on social media where women have told their men that the man wanted to pay for their rent, and they told the man that the rent cost 2 to 3 times more or 5 times more than what the rent actually cost, so that not only did her rent get paid, but she also had spending money on the side. There are some women who made it seem like their hair cost way more than what it actually costs, and the actual cost they would get paid for, and then the difference that the man gave her, they would spend it on entertainment. That is being dishonest with the finances. You should have just been genuine and said, look, this is how much my hair costs, but I want X, Y, and Z spending money. But if he's paying for primarily most of it, you should have plenty of spending money, because you're primarily not spending any of it, at least not on the household. So identifying these early, these red flags, you can help yourself avoid deeper involvement in relationships that may not be sustainable over a long period of time. Now, oh yeah, I remember. Emotional and material values are going to be something that we have to talk about, because dating can teach you to distinguish between emotional and material value. While money can provide comfort and security, it's essential to recognize that emotional connections and shared experiences often hold greater long-term value in relationships. So the dating provides valuable lessons about the role of money in your relationships, from financial compatibility to emotional value, helping you navigate what truly matters in building a strong partnership and fulfilling a lifelong connection. In fact, financial issues can be a major source of conflict in your relationships, especially when couples have different spending habits or financial priorities. But what if we could use our financial situations to our advantage and build stronger, more supportive relationships? What if understanding the role of money in our relationships could help us make better choices and avoid common pitfalls, petty arguments, insignificant squabbles, public humiliation for personal disagreements and disarray? The key to making it work is to understand the relationship between money and dating, and to be open and honest with our partners about our financial situations and expectations. You start off with discussing your financial expectations, because if they can meet your financial expectations, then you can start telling them about your financial operation. The same way they might put you on the floor and teach you how to run sales on the floor before they teach you how to count the safe. They got to trust you with the money that you're collecting from the customer before they can trust you with counting the money that comes from all the shifts. We have to trust you with the ability to maintain the operation before I tell you how much money is involved in the operation. If you're looking at a man and you think that he's broke and you assume that because he looks broke, that he is broke, and you treat him as if he's broke, then he may take that and accept it, but he may walk away from you because he may not like the way you're treating him. But he recognizes that because you're treating him that way, since you don't know that he has money, he would know that if you changed your behavior based on knowing that he has money, you would come to find out that you were only with him for his resources. Now, some men thirsty for sex are not going to care about that. They're going to capitalize on the fact that she only wants him for his resources, knowing that the man will utilize her desire for his resources to meet his desire for sexual engagement, and sometimes not even put his resources on the table, just allow her to have the desire for his resources, like those bait trap scenarios where the gold diggers are talking to the guy that's standing on a sidewalk next to an expensive car that's clearly a rental. And some of those girls, they have the conversation and then he walks away and drives off. But some of those girls, he get their number, they link up after the video and all this, because if they want him because he's in that rental, he might have not have been able to smash had he not had that rental. So since he's got that rental, he'll take advantage of her greed and satisfy his lust and then return the rental, because he's not interested in anything else from her besides satisfying his lust. She wasn't interested in anything from him besides her satisfaction of riding in his rental. But this isn't the type of mentality for either side if you're looking for long-term partnership. So when we can talk freely about money, we can build trust, avoid misunderstandings, and create a stronger, more supportive relationship. I actually have to, when we're talking with the family, I have to talk about the budget with the family. I have to let everybody else know what I plan on doing with my money and what I plan on doing with their money. If I'm investing their money, if I'm saving money on expenses to take their capital and put it towards my overhead so I could take the difference and put it into the thing so that we can all get money back. If that's what I have to do, then everybody whose money is involved in that got to know what's going on with the money. So it doesn't matter if it's the husband and the wife, or if it's the husband, the wife, and the kids. It could be the husband, the wife, the kids, and an in-law that all stay in the same house. If I'm utilizing everybody's capital to make the household successful, everybody in the household that's investing in the household needs to know where the money is going. Now, if you ain't putting no money into the household, you don't need to know what's going on. Because I'm never going to tell you when the bills are due. I'm just going to tell you that the bills are paid. I'm not going to tell you how much the bills cost. I'm just going to let you know that they were already compensated before the first of the month. But if you're going to give me some money towards the bill, I'll tell you how much money you should give me for the bill. Now, is that how much the bill cost? Of course not. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But whatever amount that I'm telling you that you're going to give me is what I expect you to contribute to this scenario. Now, if you're able to contribute that quantity on a regular basis, then I can start telling you where that quantity is going. I can start telling you how your contribution offsets something. Then you would be able to understand how your contribution benefits the overall household. But that's why we have to start off somewhere with our communication about finance and build that trust so that we can start letting that person into the operation. There's still going to be secrets involved. You might not tell other people how you do your taxes. You might not tell everybody where all of your trusts and your safety nets are. You might not tell everybody where all of your assets are, but you will tell them about the rotating capital that you have. If you've got money coming in from somewhere and it's going out somewhere else, you'll at least talk about the money that's going out if you're not talking about the money that's coming in. Now, to avoid financial dating mistakes, You have to remember that you have to be honest about your financial situation. So don't misrepresent your financial status to impress your date. If they don't value you for who you are, fuck them. Let they ass starve. Usman says, special shout out to Usman. He dove right back in here tonight. I appreciate you, buddy. The samurai would be jealous if they knew that their swords were not as sharp as Xander's suits. I love these sayings. I love these sayings. This is one of the red wine suits. I have another one that actually has the black trim instead of the silver trim, because this actually mix and matches with the silver suit that I have, because the silver suit has silver pants. So I can actually match this red and silver suit with the silver pants from the black and silver suit that I was wearing the other day, and then mix that up with anything else. Like if I wanted to throw the purple and silver, like the either the purple shirt or the silver shirt with the purple vest on underneath the red and silver blazer with the silver pants, and then a tie that matches all of that, and it would be again a very unique look. That's an old school tie. My dad had one too. Exactly. This is the wide mouth ties from back in the day. It was hard to get. It's hard to get these, man. And I kept all the ones that I could get my hands on. And if I go before I go to buy a brand new skinny tie from the mall, I might buy me a very good condition thrift store tie, or a tie from a Goodwill, or a collection of ties from a garage sale or something like that, because them ties are bomb ass. And usually what happens is that the owner of the ties, the boyfriend or the husband, either broke up with the woman, divorced the woman, or died. She still has the ties. She doesn't value the ties. She's going to sell the ties. I can buy the ties for pennies on the dollar. And now I have all of these amazing ties that make my $500 suits look like $1,000 suits. And I can mix and match my ties in any way I want. And the tie, honest to God, brings the whole suit together, because the black and white shirt doesn't go with the silver and red shirt because of the colors themselves. But the black and white shirt that's going with the red and silver is going with the red, black, and white on the tie, and it brings everything together. And you're like, oh, snap, he did that. I had to flip back and forth between the gold glasses today and the black glasses today, because it does kind of get a little bit brighter with the gold glasses than what it does with the black glasses. But it with the gold lapel pin, the gold does stand out a little bit, but the lapel pin brings out the glasses. Accessorizing. The lapel pin was $3 on Temu, and it wasn't just the lapel pin. It was a lapel pin, cufflinks, so the tie clip, the lapel pin, and cufflinks, that all came. I got it like $3 off of Temu. So it didn't even cost me no pile of money. Even though when I tell you guys about saving money and investing money, I don't even waste money on insignificant shit. I'm just like, nah, if I'm gonna get something, it's gonna be cheap. So remember when I told you guys about ordering off of Temu and that extra 7 days in customs that I get the extra $5 back on a regular basis? The $5 back ended up buying this for free. So I didn't really technically pay for it. He said, very similar pattern to my dad's too. He's a 70s child. Yeah, well, I'm an 80s baby. My dad was in 56, and we had these kind of ties growing up. So, I love these ties. So I love the 70s style of dress. A lot of my suits go as far back as 1920s, between 1920 and 1940, when men dressed as men, not grown as boys, with their pants hanging off their ass. So I actually had because I have an attraction to that vintage style, I just make my modern style look vintage deliberately. Because if you're not old enough to recognize it, then you're not old enough to talk to me. Because the women that are old enough to recognize this are between 25 and 30 years old, 45 years old at best. And, anybody under that, 22, 21, because remember we said that the perfect age for a man is half of his age plus 7. So that would be what, 27, 28, 29 for me. So if you're 25 to 35, you should recognize this like, ooh, I remember that when I was a kid. Either my dad or my granddad had that, which means you have less daddy issues. Mr. Satellite said, back for the 6th time again. Yes, he is. Your glasses remind me of the Matrix movie. Yes. You know, when the Matrix first came, because I've been wearing these glasses since 96. Not these specific ones, but I have been prescribed these glasses since 1996. And I was one of the fewer people to get this prescription. So I had a tough childhood because I have light sensitivity, which is why I wear these glasses in a well-lit room. Even though it's dark outside, it's light inside. So I wear these glasses for the light. Now, the thing is that growing up, the light sensitivity caused massive migraines to the point of blindness. So in order for me to make it to school and see where I'm walking, I had to put the glasses on. I had to wear the glasses in class, which pissed off my teacher because my teacher didn't want us to wear sunglasses in class. And I'm like, they're not sunglasses, they're prescription. So they argued with me to the magnitude that they suspended me from school for wearing prescription glasses. Now, back in the day, we didn't know that we could sue a school for that. But what we did was I changed schools. I didn't even go back off the suspension. We brought the school that we transferred out of the medical papers that showed that they were prescription, that they were bought at a vision doctor, that they were corrective lenses. And then we transferred out because they were discriminating because of my poor vision. Then when I got transferred back to that school, because I got expelled from the other school for fighting, they accepted me with glasses and all because they already knew who I was. They was like, nope, that's the kid with the bad vision. He fight like Tyson, but nobody hits him in the glasses. Now, I tell you that story because years later, the Matrix came out and they had the frames that clip onto the nostrils. So they didn't have the side frames, and I tried those. In order for it to clip to the bridge of your nose and not fall off, it's painful as fuck. So I don't know how they managed to pull that off on the Matrix, but in real life, that is not going to fly, especially when you start sweating. It's just going to fall right off. So I had backup glasses that were normal. I've done the flip ups, I've done the clip ons, and just the standard traditional ones. Polarized mirror tinted is the most effective, but they're the most expensive. And the thing is that they started calling me Black Neo at first. And I was sitting here, I laughed about it because I'm like, there's more than one person on the Matrix, period. You could have named me anybody's. You could have named me Mr. Smith. You could have named me anybody, but I had to be the star of the show. It was Black Neo. And then I told somebody, I said, the guy that taught Neo was black and his name was Morpheus. And that name kind of stuck for like 10 years after the Matrix. Everybody started calling me Morpheus after that. And I was like, well, closest thing to the Oracle that I can get. Because the Oracle had a pretty good set of shades too. Usman said, you're going for that classic timeless look. That is exactly what I'm doing. The name of the game is to outlast the test of time, because instead of me following the current trend and doing what everybody else is doing while they're doing it, and then I've got to keep up with the trend. So as the trend changes, I've got to change with the trend. So if I'm late to change with the trend, people are going to be talking about it. But if I was never in the trend, the only thing you can say is nice suit. You can't be, it's not, this ain't the season for that. You're wearing those colors out of season. I wear white after Labor Day because my white suit makes sense after Labor Day. You got everybody else that ain't wearing white after Labor Day, but I wear white after Labor Day because it's a white suit. It matters no matter what time of year it is. But then I was always taught to wear bright colors, especially if you're operating at night, because if something happens, they can see you better in the dark than what they can. So even though in the fall you're supposed to wear dark colors, if you're planning on being out at night, you want to wear yellows and whites and stuff like that, so that when you're outside after the sun goes down, that the people can see you when you're, crossing the street and all of these other things. We don't think about that stuff. A lot of us don't want to be seen, even though we're not up to stuff. Subconsciously, we want to be up to stuff. So instead of us dressing with bright colors so that we don't get run over by a car, we dress in dark colors so that nobody sees us outside at night, so that nobody pays attention to what we're trying to accomplish at night. Then we get pissed off when we almost get clipped by that car because they honestly couldn't see us. So I clearly wouldn't be wearing black on red if I was going to be outside in the middle of the night, unless I was planning on not being somewhere where I could get clipped by a car. Because truth is that if they can't see me with this dark color suit on with the lights out, then, I'm asking to get knocked off. The only thing you would see is my teeth and the blue light from the headset. Which is why all the service dogs that walk with me got a spotlight on their collar so I can light the dogs up. They're like, oh, there's a light moving over there. Yeah, I tell you, I never leave my house without my canines. Now, when we were talking about financial strategies in relationships to improve your relationship status, you want to make sure that you be upfront about your income, your debts, and your financial goals, ladies, especially when you're talking to these successful men that have potential, the future successful men. And you want to make sure that the honesty builds trust and sets realistic expectations. So all you ladies that are talking about, oh, I like to travel, you don't fucking like to travel. Your ass won't never go nowhere. That's why you like to travel, because you would like to travel. It's not that you actually travel. Because if you were financially irresponsible to travel 3 times a year, you think to yourself, if you're broke and you're traveling 3 times a year, maybe if you stop spending that money on traveling for 5 years, you'll have enough money to quit your job and be able to travel for 10 years on interest, instead of, taking what little bit of extra savings that you have and run out there and go try to enjoy the pleasures of life for 1 or 2 weeks out of the year, and then come back to the house stressed out and broke with not enough money to pay the bills. If you think about the $2,500 you spent to go to Cancun, the $5,000 you went to Puerto Rico, the $7,000 that you went to Spain or Mexico or whatever the fuck, and then you think about when you came back, you ain't had enough money to pay your car note, your car insurance is late, your light about to get cut off, you ain't got enough money for groceries, your food stamp card got to be renewed. Why you got a food stamp card but you just flew out of the country? I don't understand. But this is the life of broke folks. Broke-minded mentality. As soon as you get a little extra money, you want to go live it up. YOLO is what they used to say, and you only live once. But your ass should only be broke once too. You should instead of spending all your time and money and effort on impressing other people, you need to avoid spending to impress. That's going to be the next thing that we're going to talk about. You want to stay within your budget when planning dates. You want to make sure that you don't overspend to entertain other people, impress other people, or just do it for your social media platform. You want to make sure that you keep your money in your pocket. You don't want to be on your social media platform with bricks of cash in the video as if you balling out of control. You want to make sure that you keep your wealth to yourself. 30% of the money that you have in your pocket, you want to tell everybody else that you don't got that. That way they understand that your ass is broke. Because the more money they think you have, the more money they're going to ask from you. The less money you give them based off of how much they think you have, the more they're going to sabotage you because they can't get from you. So if they think you don't have anything, they're not going to ask you for anything, because if they believe that you can't afford it, then they're going to leave you alone about it. But if they believe that you got it to give, they're going to guilt trip you into it, set you up, sabotage you, and cause you to fail further than what you would have failed had they not negatively impacted your situation, just to prevent you from being more successful than them. And this is everybody from your worst enemy to your best friend to a family member that you've lived with your whole life, that you don't want to go 100% into your financial success. Like I said before, you tell them how much you can afford, or you tell them how much you're willing to spend, but you don't tell them how much of a nest egg that you have off into the background there. Until they start investing in that nest egg, you don't start talking to them about that nest egg. That nest egg is supposed to be exclusively isolated to your last will and testament. And if they're not present for your last will and testament, they're not supposed to know that. Usman said, poor people spend money The middle class save it, the rich invest it. Actually, no, the poor people waste money. The middle class people spend money on paying debt so that they could, because what happens is that the poor people are chasing debt with their money, right? Because they don't have enough of it. So every time they get a little extra money, they're trying to catch up on their back bills, right? Now, the middle class is paying off their debts. They're not really sitting on that much money. They're paying off their debts, but they have more credit, so they're borrowing more money in advance, and then when they're paying off their credit cards with that, they're paying off their loans with that, right? Now the rich is going to invest it. The rich is definitely going to invest it. They're going to put it up, take the interest out, live off the interest. They'll borrow against the value of the stocks, use the money they borrowed to pay for a bunch of stuff, and take the interest off of the stocks and pay off the loan. So they always got what they need, cash up front, but they technically never have any fucking money in their hands at that moment because it's already moving for them. But if all you need is $200 to eat with, all the other thousands of dollars to your name, all the millions of dollars to your name, your estimated net worth of assets isn't relevant. What's relevant is how much money can you spend today if the power goes out? How much cash do you have in your pocket right now if the power goes out and stays out for the next 3 weeks? How much food can you buy? How much gas can you put in your car? That's how rich you are. Which is why middle class and wealthy people have a fucking safe in their house with money on hand at the house. So with the billions of dollars that they might have in stocks, bonds, real estate, and ever such, they also have a safe somewhere in the house that has provisional cash that they only access on emergencies, usually blackmail or some kind of scandal. But if the power goes out, they open a safe. They've got a bunch of cash there. So they're not just rich net worth wise on paper. They got enough capital, sometimes in multiple different currencies, to buy stuff in multiple different countries with multiple different passports to cover the spread. When you're capable to drive across town with 3 briefcases full of cash, with 3 different passports in them and 2 different suits, just in case one of your suits gets dirty, that's when you're doing it big. When somebody can spill a drink on your outfit and you can go to the car and change and come back and buy the building, that's when you're doing a good job. So think about that. Remember that thoughtful, creative dates often mean more than expensive ones. So don't get into debt trying to maintain an unsustainable lifestyle just to impress the other person in the date. It's not going to benefit you in the long run. And fellas, we do this all the time. And usually we do this so that we can impress the girl all the way to the bedroom. And then after that, they're not impressed anymore because you have to keep this up. And what most women are expecting is for you to continue to improve your effort. If you start at the top, there's no improvement. It's either plateau or decline. So this is the best you will ever get. It is only downhill from here. And women are not willing to accept that. They want to see improvement throughout the years. So fellas, if you start from the bottom, she's able to set expectations based on you starting at the bottom. And as you progress on your efforts over time, based on how much you determine she has earned that from her efforts, she will see continued growth in your efforts because you never gave her the top. You gave her the bottom and worked your way up. So from here, if you're satisfied with this, it is only uphill from here because I can't do any worse than this. But if you start at your very best, I can't get any worse than this, and it's all the way down. He says, since when does Morpheus drink from a Disney glove? You make a good point. I need to go ahead and get one of those this and that mugs. That way I can just add icing on the cake when we're sitting here having the podcast conversations, because I be drinking from coffee. I like the Disney mug. I like the Disney mug because It says Disney, not because of any other value. I like the big D in the picture. No Diddy. And I actually got that from somebody else. It was a gift. Even though I went to Disney, I didn't buy anything for myself from Disney. I wasted a bunch of money on family and friends for Disney. So, like I told you, like back in the day, before I learned all of this stuff, the same frivolous ideas, which is one of the reasons why I had to start my 20-year plan somewhere. I had to start my 20-year plan from when I created this podcast to say, hey, if I would have knew better 20 years ago, I'd be a millionaire today. And because I learned what I learned, now I spend my whole career telling you guys to do it differently so that you're not making the same mistakes that I made back in the day. If it's practical, then fair enough. Well, the cup itself is practical. Well, the Disney cup itself is practical, but the podcast cup would technically be practical because if I have in real time the memorabilia that I'm advertising on the show, you look at the cup that I'm drinking out of and say, oh, that's a sweet ass cup. That's what it looks like in real life. And then you might buy it straight off of the live stream, because if you click the link in the description, sometimes the cup is there. Sometimes the shirt is there. There's a hoodie. They've got the apron. They've got the fitted cap with the logos on it. There's shirts for the women. There's throw pillows. There's pillows for the dog. I think they got baby clothes up there. It's got all kinds of stuff up there on the channel. But not a lot of people look at the description and read all of the stuff in the description, and not a lot of people look at the products that are going across the screen. But if I'm holding some of the products and I put those products, I tag those products in the show, you ask me where to get the cup from, and I say, click that link down below, and then they bought the cup. It would actually be a sales thing. And then the practicality about it is that if I buy the cup to advertise the cup on the product, on the platform, the purchase of that cup is a business expense. So it is a tax write-off. I don't have to buy 1,000 of them. I just have to buy 1 or 2 of them just so that I can show you guys what the cup looks like and use it during the podcast to further emphasize the validity of the brand. There's also supposed to be getting a cologne line. Got to put $1,500 down on the cologne line. But since we already got an album, we already got a merchandise store, and we go ahead and get the cologne line and start wearing the podcast cologne, drinking out the podcast cup, drinking out the podcast thermos. And then, people start recognizing that when they see that logo, they're like, oh, you're part of that group. Your reputation precedes you, but this is part of brand building. And when you're part of your brand building is a tax write-off. So yeah, as long as I'm not spending too much money on it, the cups are pretty cheap. As a matter of fact, I think it's like 10 or 20 bucks. So if I can get it on wholesale, I'm gonna get it half the price what you guys are paying for it, because it's my stuff. So the thing is that I'd be turning over a pretty decent profit just to show you guys what it looks like, in order for me to have access to it, and then you guys get to see it and like it and want it. Remember to discuss your financial values early. You want to have open conversations about your money management styles. And this isn't something that we talk about on a regular basis, because talking about how much money you got versus the things that you like to buy and the things that you would prefer to get paid for first, that's different conversations. What's due on the 1st versus what's due on the 15th? What can be paid now? What can be paid later with interest? That's different. If you're trying to build your credit up, you're not trying to deal late payments. If you're trying to recover from massive deficit, you don't care about late payments. The fact is that some people might not have a problem with going into the final notice with 3 late payments, while other people might prefer to pay early. Something as simple as that could lead to failed discussions. I got a buddy of mine that will allow account to go negative because he doesn't find value in the account. I told him, I said, well, if you let a business account go negative and your business account stays in a negative, you're supposed to be in good financial standings for the past 12 months in order for you to borrow money against that branch. So if you're trying to borrow money against that branch from the business and your account has been in a negative, they're going to look at you as irresponsible with your money. They're not going to approve you for a loan. They're not going to approve you for cash advances. But if you have money making money for you and funneling money into that account, then you're going to be more likely to be able to borrow money against a stone because you're turning over a larger revenue. They don't think about that. your suit line could be used for formal wear and cutting things. I have, oh, look, oh, okay. So remember I was telling you about the silver interior. So the suit line, sometimes you remember Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where he turned the suit inside out. Sometimes some of my suits I could turn them inside out and wear them again. And they like I said, they stand out in the crowd. It's a unique style, it's a unique experience. And because it is unique, outside of the guys that are doing the Pinky Blinders imitations, nobody else is wearing suits. So no one short of Steve Harvey can tell me that I'm doing it wrong. Right now, as a result, I don't have to spend $2,000 for a Steve Harvey suit to do it right. I just have to find the colors that work well with me, find ways to mix and match it, take good care of them so that they last a long period of time, and then just, be myself. And I've had some friends to try to mock me because I honest to God, I go everywhere with a suit. I go, you would think, well, yeah, you go to court, you go to no, I go to the post office in a suit. I go to the mechanic shop in a suit. I go get my mail in a suit. Some people go to the mailbox in their robe. I go to the mailbox in a suit. I'm not walking outside of my house at 6:00 in the morning if I'm not in a suit. You guys go to the beach. If there was a beach suit, I'd be wearing it. But if not, I got one of these on. You're like, oh man, you're going to get in the water with that suit on? I had no intention on getting into the water. Didn't you see the news about the red tide with the bacteria and parasites at the shorefront? Bro, I'm coming to stand in the sand, barbecue, drink some beers, have a good time, and then go back to the car. I don't plan on getting in the water so I can walk to the beach in this suit. Aren't you hot in that suit? No, it's satin. It's breathable. Not hot at all. He says, those inside out suits can make appear and disappear, make you appear and disappear. Oh yeah, of course. Being able to switch them out gives you the ability to almost change your clothes in the middle of a scenario. So like, for example, if somebody was to stain the outside of my suit, if I was to turn my suit inside out, it's a different suit. So if I was wearing a silver shirt underneath this suit and then I turn the suit inside out, guess what? It still matches. I don't even have to change the tie. I could just turn the suit inside out. And it still has the red in there. So it would be still silver and red. It would just, instead of being red with silver lining, it would be silver with red. And these are Italian stitch suits. I typically get them. Which brand is this one? This one is Palani, Pallini. Look that one up. I can get them from pretty much anywhere. Like you can buy them online. You can fly to Italy so you have something to talk about, but you can just go to your local mall and go to a suit store and buy yourself a nice suit. But I like shiny, so it's got to have a little bit of a satin look to it so that it has a little bit of a glisten to it in the light. I like satin because it's more breathable. You can't really get durable silk suits. You're going to have to get you some satin suits, and satin suits are more breathable and more shiny than cotton suits. Cotton suits is hot in the summertime. Satin suits, not so much. And yeah, you can wear a satin suit outside in 120-degree weather and not break a sweat. Ironically, the reflection of light allows you to not get hot as quickly. And then it also retains the cool. So if you're walking out of an air-conditioned room into the heat, it takes you longer to warm up than everybody else. And then it's before you start breaking into a sweat, you just take off your blazer. They're coming out of their t-shirt because they already started baking. Now, one of the other things that we're going to have to improve ourselves is you want to understand each other's attitudes towards saving, spending, and financial goals. And you guys can come to understand my ability to save, spend, and understand my financial goals because I tell you guys on a regular basis the importance of not spending as much so that you can take your savings and invest it. And the financial goal is to not have to work anymore. So whatever standard of living that you want to have that is supported by you not having to work for that money, That's the end goal that everybody is supposed to be looking for. Their 20-year plan is to stop working and still get paid. Anybody today watching a podcast, and if you stop working today, you will be broke tomorrow. You will be broke by the end of the month. You won't be able to make it to April with the amount of money that you have on hand. And if you don't go back to work, you're going to be homeless and hungry. You have not met your goal. But anybody who can say that outside of their Social Security, disability, retirement fund, and VA benefits, that you can quit and stop doing what you want to do, but without that money, you wouldn't have anything else to your name, you are still a lot of the times not making that much money unless you did a long stint in the army. You're not really making that much money to say that you're living a life of not having to work. But you're living a very low class life, because Social Security, disability is not going to give you a couple $1,000s, and VA is going to offset that, where the more money you make from the VA, the less money you get from Social Security, disability. So you end up somewhere in a $2,000 income range, where your lifestyle is capped at $24,000 to $25,000 a year, which is still poverty level, because $30,000, $35,000 is poverty level. You want to have a quantity of income that is being generated upward of 70 to 100. The ladies want a man that's $100,000. So men, your end goal is supposed to be $150,000. If women these days want $100,000 man, a man of value must be $150,000, because you have to exceed her expectations, because she wants the $100,000 and you need the $50,000. That's how that works. Yeah, because valuable men, the men with good character, you're going to spend your money on her. So since you know that, and she's going to want to spend $100,000 of that, and you're going to voluntarily do that, you got to have an extra $50,000 to cover the shit that you need, because no man gets a woman that wants to pay for her man voluntarily. They don't want to, but they don't have a problem with it, but it is not her mission in life to take care of her man. It's his responsibility to take care of himself and take care of her. But women don't have the mentality that it is her mission in life to take care of her man. And as a result, fellas, if you strive to be a higher value man, you know that you're looking in a dating pool where women want $100,000 man. You're going to need $150,000. She's going to take your $100,000. You're going to put the other $50,000 on yourself. So that means, bro, if you're going to be really living the type of lifestyle that you need, that $150,000 has to be the 15% distribution from your investment. Now, Usman and I did this yesterday. In order for you to have that type of capital, you would need $1 million or more in investment portfolio that was paying 15% or more in dividends, so that you would be able to have $150,000 for her to take $100,000. Which means that you're going to have to aim to be a millionaire, my boy. To find you some reasonably valuable women. Usman says, when someone buys a share in a company, does that person technically become a type of partner? Yes. There are several layers of that. You have the investor, which is a silent partner, where you have no say in the company, but your money is helping the company function, and you may even get money back from the company. You have the angel investor or venture capitalist, where you invest in a company and you gain ownership rights of the company, where you still are a silent partner, but you are considered one of the owners of the company. But you also have the investor level, where you are on the board of directors, where you dictate where the money goes in the company. And your right to vote is based on the quantity of shares that you own of the company. And then you have the person who primarily invested on the entire overhead of the debt of the company, which is called the executive investor or the executive shareholder. And that person usually is the founder of the company. And that person gets reimbursed first before anybody else gets reimbursed. So depending on the level that you invest in a company, yeah, you are partially a partner of a company, which is why I say, instead of us just wasting money in the market, we should put our money where we shop, invest in the companies that we buy from, because if we're buying from it, and most of the people in our area is buying from it too, Buy you some Walmart stock. You should get some dividends off of what you're investing in. Everybody who shops from Amazon, who has Amazon Prime, should have Amazon stock. I told you guys last week, Amazon stock was a go-to buy and hold stock. Everybody with an iPhone should have Apple stock. I told you guys Apple was one of those go-to buy and hold stocks. Everybody who uses Google Chrome as a search engine, as the primary search engine, should have Alphabet stock. I told you guys that Google, which is owned by Alphabet, is a primary buy and hold stock. The things that you do on a day-to-day basis. We found Exxon Oil. You buy gas from Exxon. Buy you some Exxon stock. That was one of the ones I talked about last week. AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. T-Mobile's doing fiber optics right now. If you really want to invest in T-Mobile, if you've got a T-Mobile account, buy you some T-Mobile stock. As those companies boom, because you're using it and other people like you are using it, the money you invested in that stock will increase in value. So if I had shares in this podcast, everybody that invests in this podcast is getting something out of it. If you're watching a podcast, you might as well invest in a podcast because you can get something out of the deal. That's how it works. Now you want to make sure that you ensure your financial values align with your long-term compatibility of your partner. You want to make sure that you guys don't rush into financial entanglements. And financial entanglements is like when you date somebody because they can afford to pay for your bills. Like my homeboy told me that one of the girls that he wanted to date ended up dating his enemy, because when she needed money, his enemy was able to pay for her debt. So they started hooking up, and she just had to tell him that she was dating his enemy. And I told him, I said, shit, I wouldn't even talk to her after that. I would have hung the phone up, because she only dating him because he paid for her debt. She's not dating him because she valued him as a man. So that means that if she would have been dating you, she'd have been dating you because you paid for her debt, which means she's only as valuable to you as the sex you can get out of her. And she's only valuing you based on how much debt she has. So if another man shows up and spends more money on her debt than you, she'll drop you for the other man that's got more money. Neither one of y'all are valuable to her, because she's not looking at y'all character. She's looking at y'all money. This is the stuff that we don't think about. Financial decisions that help us learn about dating. Now, this is another thing that we've been talking about on the podcast, is you got to avoid lending money or co-signing loans in the early stages of dating, because you want to make sure that you don't get yourself involved in financial entanglements where you have to stick with this person long after the relationship. For example, co-sign on the car while y'all are dating. You got a 5-year mortgage on the car, or 5-year lease on the car. Y'all can't break up 2.5 years in, because technically it's her car, but it's your debt. The car is in her name unless you do a co-ownership. But if you do a co-ownership, y'all got to sell the car in order for you to part ways with the car, because if she doesn't finish paying for the debt could backlash on your credit down the line, and you can't take the car from her because it's essentially her car. Or you could take the car from her, but there's going to be a lot of legal disputes about it. Getting on a mortgage on a house, co-signing a loan on a house, and then y'all break up. Y'all got to sell the house in order for y'all to part ways. You know, you don't want to put yourself on long-term debt until you are guaranteeing that this person is going to be there for the long term. Now, when you are contracting out your financial services to somebody as part of a business arrangement, regardless of the length of your relationship, where their assets are utilized as collateral for your debt, where you can exercise the contract and say, hey, we have a binding contract. That's just business. So if we part ways, I got to get my cut. You can't just start a fight with me and break up with me and think that, well, you don't have to honor the contract no more. Nah. According to the contract, that termination of this contract by your failure to pay in a timely fashion requires you to pay the excess of the cost of acquisitioning the capital that you owe, which means cost of court, legal fees, interest rates, punitive damages. Just because you feel like we ain't talking no more, that don't mean that you ain't got to pay me back. And you got a lot of people that feel like they can evade. There are laws where once you get a judgment in your favor that you can file a motion within 15 to 45 days of the judgment, where the judge actually acquisitions financial documents based on their public records and then garnish their wages and seize their assets and sell off their estate to pay off the debt, like bankruptcy court. You'll still get your money back tenfold a lot of the times if you have the contract written correctly. You got to make sure that you talk to the right lawyers and pay the costs to get that contract written in stone, and then amend the contract for the value and the person that you're putting the contract out there for. But that's the way you protect yourself from people that would ultimately take advantage of you if you did not have that type of contract in place. Locks keep honest people honest. Laws keep honest people honest. Contracts keep honest people honest. Anybody that has dishonest intention is not going to abide by any of that. Whereby guns keep the less honest honest. Yeah, pun intended. Now, you want to wait until the relationship is serious before making joint purchases or investments. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Instead of wasting all of this time and effort into spending all of these hundreds of thousands of dollars on a marriage, you might as well just open up a bank account with one another, get a joint bank account, and do co-investments in one another. Like I said, adding each other on credit limits for authorized users, increasing each other's financial status so that you guys can have a larger quantity of accessible credit lines, which gives you the ability to have higher credit scores, which allows you to borrow larger quantities of money. Instead of spending all that money on the marriage, you should spend all of that effort on combining your financial credit report, expanding on your borrowing power, expanding on your lending power so that you can acquire personal loans that you can profit off of, expanding on your investment power. So if you guys are planning on being long-term, but you want to make sure that at all times that you want to protect your assets and your credit score. So when you get a line of credit and you add somebody to that line of credit, what you do is you don't issue them a card. You just add them on. Now, you keep that card in good standards. When it reports on your credit card, it reports on theirs. So you keep yours at a 700, they're going to be at a 700 too. They keep theirs at a 750, it's going to keep you at a 750. You keep yours at a 775, they're going to keep yours at a 775 as well. And that boosts you guys all the way up to the top. Now, if you get with somebody that's financially irresponsible, you're on their line of credit, they burn up their line of credit. When their line of credit tanks, so does yours. That's the downside. You have to make sure that you understand what kind of partner that you're getting with, which is why instead of us spending so much time as men trying to impress the women, and instead of the women spending so much time trying to find a man that can impress them, we need to spend more time seeing how each other spends money, saves money, invests money. Because all of us on the bottom 99% that's broke as fuck are not trying to stay broke our entire life. We're trying to find a way to stop being broke and stop working hard to be broke at the same damn time. So we need to start analyzing each other's character. We need to start analyzing each other's spending abilities, saving abilities, investment abilities, resource capabilities, and determine, can I get with this person and make us a millionaire inside of 5 years? Can I get with this person and make us a millionaire in 10 years and clear off all of our debt in 5? And if the answer to one of those questions is yes, then this is the person that I need to collaborate with, cooperate with. And eventually love might work from that. But even if it doesn't, you have a mutual agreement between two parties where you might actually have sex involved, which is the way rich people handle it too. If you got good business sense and I got good business sense and we have an arranged marriage, some sex might come out of it, but we're really in this for the money. We're both in this for the money. We're both in this for a better standard of living. But you want to maintain financial independence while you have joint finances. You want to keep a separate bank account, especially in the beginning of the relationship. And when you start getting joint accounts, you don't want to put all of your capital into your joint accounts. while you're building trust, there is the level of betrayal that happens. So you want to make sure that in the joint accounts that you put the quantity of capital that you want in the joint account to be accessed by your partner. The amount of money that you do not want to be accessed by your partner, you keep in a separate account that your partner may not have the knowledge or accessibilities of. Because they can clean out the bank account, the joint bank account, but if they touch any of the money in your personal individual bank account, that's still theft. So if you guys work in that fashion where you have some of this is for us and some of this is for me, and y'all put all y'all money together and at least talk about what y'all are going to do with the money y'all pulled together. Y'all don't necessarily have to talk about the money that you kept to yourselves, but the money that y'all pulled together, y'all should be able to negotiate that and work on a higher level of trust. But if one of y'all got a money-making idea that's going to make the relationship more successful, y'all should be able to collaborate on that and make yourselves more successful. Now, don't become financially dependent on your partner too quickly. You want to make sure that if in the event that your partner fails financially, that you have the ability to bring up the rear. Regardless of who's supposed to be the breadwinner, if the breadwinner falls off, you've got to be the backup plan. If you are supposed to be the breadwinner, you've got to know that your partner can be the backup plan. But you also want to have a fallback plan, because if you fall off and your homie don't got you, if you fall off and your partner doesn't have you, then you have to be able to catch yourself. Otherwise, you will fail. So you are not supposed to 100% depend on somebody else to make you successful until they have shown you that they can make you successful. That is when you're able to say, okay, well, I can trust this person with my paycheck while I'm in a coma, and my money will still be here when I wake up. That's when you're able to say, all right, I can trust this person. But until then, if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about certain people that you know that you wouldn't even tell them how much money is in your bank account right now, though you don't want to, you know that you don't want to put too much faith and effort into those people spending your money in your best interest. Now, you want to make sure that you can support yourself in the relationship if the relationship ends. So a lot of ladies are doing the escape fund, but truth be told is that what you need to do is you need to have an investment portfolio. That way you have the ability to have capital coming regardless of what's going on. So if you guys break up, your money is not going to depreciate because y'all broke up. You still can do you however you was doing you in a relationship. You can still do that outside of the relationship. So ladies, y'all have a hard learning curve to deal with, because you ladies are going to have to deal with finding somebody that could provide to you what you can provide for yourself. Because if you find somebody that provides you more than what you can provide for yourself, you'll come to understand that when you break up with that person, your standard of living will decline because you can't afford to withstand the financial standard of living that was being provided to you from your partner. But ironically, ladies, is that when that man leave you, his financial standard will improve because all of the expenses that he covered from you is no longer an expense, which means that he has more money in his pocket. So breaking up with you sometimes becomes a financial benefit for him. Only when it's a divorce is when it's bad, because you take the legal action of taking half of his estate. But just on a separation of assets, he's spending less money because he's not buying you gifts and impressing you anymore with his wealth. So you guys want to be wary of these red flags. You want to watch for signs of financial irresponsibility or dishonesty, and be conscious of your partner constantly, asking for questions about money and avoiding financial discussions. Usman says, do you think you could release a checklist for men to help them find out if the lady is a gold digger? I can create a gold digger checklist and throw it into the membership so that you guys can see what's going on. You want to make sure that you trust your instincts. If something feels off about their financial behavior, don't wait for the shit to hit the fan. If you don't feel right about this, if you've got some questions, just cut it quick. Cut it quick. I'm not the person to cut and run on every little thing, but when you start thinking about the little things that don't look right now that could turn into a catastrophe in the long run, you don't want to have the catastrophe in the long run. So what you want to do is you want to look at problems that you can circumvent now, such as plugging holes in a leaking ship instead of letting the ship sink. And that way you don't have to deal with the catastrophic failure in the long run. Now you want to plan your dates collaboratively. You want to take turns planning the dates and paying for the dates. You want to be open about the budget constraints when making these plans by telling her, I ain't paying for that shit. You want to find a balance that works for both you and the partner's financial situation. And you want to make sure that you educate yourself on your personal finance, educate them on your personal finance and their personal finance, improve your own financial literacy by coming to the podcast every day. And this will help you make better decisions and spot potential issues. Don't ignore financial incompatibilities. Address major differences in spending habits or financial goals. Consider whether these differences are deal breakers in the long run. Seek professional advice if you need to. Consider consulting with financial advisors or counselors for complex financial situations. This can be especially helpful if planning for a future together. Now, by following these guidelines, you can navigate the financial aspects of dating more smoothly and build a stronger foundation for a potential long-term relationship. So, what we've learned today is that money and love are not separate entities, but intertwined aspects of our lives. By acknowledging the roles of money in our relationships, we can build stronger, healthier partnerships and avoid common pitfalls. And who knows, we might even learn a thing or two about ourselves and what we want in our partners. Now, unfortunately, I got a split because I've got a 1 o'clock and I just looked at the time and it's almost 1 o'clock. So I really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. If you guys have anything that you want to add to the comments, make sure that you throw them into the comments. If you've ever experienced financial stress in a relationship, put that into the comments. We'll talk about it later tonight or tomorrow on the show. If you've ever had to handle that situation in an unpredictable fashion, throw that information into the comments and let me know about how you were able to overcome those obstacles. Be sure to check out the videos that we've got lined up for the rest of the week because we are live 7 nights a week at the same 10:30 Central Time on a regular basis. So unfortunately, I can't hang out as much as I wanted to. I appreciate you guys, ladies. As long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep telling y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Special shout out to Usman. I really appreciate you for coming. I really appreciate Satellite for being here tonight. And thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night. Till next time, Usman.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.